This is the new 2025 Kia EV5, and this is a review I've been looking forward to all year because I think this is going to be one of the SUV EVs to beat. It's effectively an electric Sportage, and that's what a lot of people have been waiting for. It's a modernised design and basically a shrunken down EV9. I think this is going to be super popular based on the time that I've spent with it already, and I'm here today to show you all around the car and take it out for a spin to let you know what I think. So the question is, does this stack up against the Tesla Model Y, the ID4 and the Skoda Enyaq, which is probably its key rivals? Well, at £39,000 starting price, it does come in a little bit cheaper than that. So stick around to find out. But before we do that, if you're looking to sell your car or you're looking for a competitive price on a new car, please check out my links in the description below for CarWow, where you can just enter your reg and get a super easy quote. Dealers will bid on your car online, and then if you accept the final price, they will come and collect it from your house, no issues whatsoever. So if you're looking for a new car or a used car, I can help you out with that as well through CarWow and through my affiliate dealerships. So then, the EV5 finished here in metallic green, which is an optional paint colour, which I think really pops in the sun, as you can see, at this beautiful beachside location that I'm filming at right now. So drivetrain is nice and easy. There's only one option, which is a front-wheel drive 214 horsepower with an 81.4 kilowatt-hour battery, which is good for around 329 miles, 0 to 60 in around 8.4 seconds, and 10 to 80% charging in around half an hour on a 150 kilowatt charger. There's 3 easy trims to choose from, which is what I like about Kia. So you start off with the EV5 Air at around £39,000 with pretty generous spec as standard, including 18-inch alloy wheels, dual 12.3-inch displays, heated front seats and steering wheel, privacy glass at the rear, blind spot assist and highway driving assist, but it does have basic cloth upholstery. Stepping up to the GT line, which is around £42,500, that one gains 19-inch alloy wheels and the GT styling pack on the exterior, which makes it a little bit more sporty, adaptive LED headlights, electrically adjustable driver's seat with memory, heated rear seats and wireless phone charger with ambient interior lighting, and also the two-tone faux leather upholstery, which is vegan. The top spec one is the GT Line S, which is the one I have here, starting at around £47,000, which gains a tilt and slide sunroof, premium relaxation front seats which are heated, ventilated and also have full recline, a Harman Kardon premium sound system and a customizable head-up display, fingerprint recognition for different drive profiles, and also remote auto parking on the key. Heat pump is available on the GT Line S at £900 extra. It's a shame it's not included in the price, but it is what it is. All cars come with highway driving assist 2 and lane follow assist with smart cruise control. The ADAS systems on Kia tend to be generally really good, and of course your 7-year 100,000 mile warranty, which is pretty industry leading. But all trims use the same battery and motor in the UK launch lineup, so it's nice and easy to choose. The only 2 key rivals I would say to watch out for are the Skoda Enyaq, which I think is a great car, slightly more expensive than this, but really good and worth consideration, and has a slightly more posh interior. But the Tesla Model Y is your more simplistic option with a better charging network if you so please, but that one is about £5 more expensive as a starting point. So pretty nice and straightforward in terms of the lineup then. Let's take a little look around it, and you can see the front end, you get that same sort of light signature and design as you get on an EV9. It does look a little bit like a squashed EV9, and I'm absolutely here for it. I think it looks really good, and you've got a nice sort of aggressive front end. The paint definitely sets this one off a little bit. These signature lights look really good with the LED, and then down the bottom here you've got some key details around the vents. Of course, this stuff here, this is all kind of functional at the bottom. You've got your radars built in there as well. Yeah, I do think it really looks the part, as you can see. As we head down the side of the car, you can kind of see it's got that Kia Sportage side profile. So very kind of reminiscent of the Sportage in terms of space, which is probably a good thing for a lot of people. It's probably the ideal size. So as we head to the back, you can see we've got a pretty squared off rear end, but again, I think this looks really good. It really looks the part. It's a shame that at the rear, these lights don't do anything too posh. They are nice LEDs, as you can see. Please do ignore the flickering, the pulsing. That's just a trick of the camera. But the indicators leave a little bit to be desired. I think it would be nice for them to integrate them into kind of the almost light bar section in the top there. So those lights switched off there, you can kind of see this really squared off rear end, which is super practical for your cargo, makes things nice and easy to load. And again, lots of nice aggressive lines, I think, and you kind of got this little lip spoiler thing going on here. I think really looks the part, and you've got the door handles that kind of protrude when you're exiting and entering the car, and as you can see, there's just lots of nice little details down the sides, and these kind of rear haunches just make it look quite an aggressive style and really modern, I would say. Quite crisp and clean, nothing too excessive, but just looks the part. It looks like what a new Sportage would be, I would imagine. And even on this really high-end GT Line S, we have these wheels which aren't too overkill. Obviously they are slightly larger than the ones you get on the base model Air, but as you can see, you've still got quite a chunky tyre on there, so you don't sacrifice too much ride comfort for the sporty styling, which is always a good thing. And I think it gives it kind of that slightly more rugged look, almost like something like a Defender or something like that. It doesn't look too overkill, too glitz and glamour. But I'd love to know what you think. Please do let me know in the comments below what you think of the styling. I do think it's a perfect combination of what the EV9 would have looked like if it was a little bit smaller. Other things to note, the charge port is in this location here. It is electric, so you just tap on this bit here and it opens up like a flap, and then you've got a nice indicator in there and also your charge ports, and you just literally press the button again and it will close electrically as well. So then let's step inside and see what the interior is all about. And of course you get a nice high quality door latch and a really heavy door with some laminated glass on this GT Line S model, which makes interior refinement really good. It is ever so slightly more bland than the other Kia interiors, I believe. It will go onto the dashboard in a little bit, but it is a very good layout, very nice materials, and I think a lot of people will be very happy with it. And on the door card you've got a nice easy control for your opening, and also your heated and ventilated seat controls, heated steering wheel control, and your memory functions as well. So it's nice that they're all easily accessible by hand when you're in the car. Some nice contrast material in this GT Line S model. So GT Line and GT Line S get this contrasting white panel and some gloss grey plastic, which is much better than gloss black in my opinion, because it still adds a little bit of kind of finish to the cabin, but it's not quite as scratchy and as fingerprinty, which is always a good touch. And these switches of course all feel pretty good. There is space in the door for kind of a bottle, but it's quite a small space and a little bit of a divide there as well. Not the biggest and most practical area there, but gets the job done. And in this one we've got the Harman Kardon grills. These seats are the recline relaxation seats, very good as always from Kia, with these nice plush headrests which are very adjustable, and this kind of nice kind of contrasting area. So you've got the white, but it's also got this pattern to it which looks really good, and heated, ventilated, and you've also got the full recline function down here, as well as four-way lumbar and electric adjustment, including tilt for your thigh support, which is always a really good touch. And then as we step in, we've got down by your knee the traction control and the parking brake. So let's step inside then, close her up, and you'll see immediately we do have a really easy to use layout, as you would expect from anything Kia. So foot on the brake, down here you've got your stalk for your gear select, so it's twist forward for drive, back for reverse, and then press the N for park, and then there's your start stop button then. So I'm going to press start stop, and they've revised all of these sounds a bit more premium now. Pretty cool. A lot of the sounds have been changed for the kind of the new 2025, 2026 model year cars, which I think sound a lot more premium and upmarket. And you can completely mute the speed warning straight away if you press and hold the volume button on the steering wheel here. You'll see you get on the screen the speed limit warning sound is off. It does come up with a mute icon, but as you can see the traffic sign recognition still works, which is quite unusual. Normally it disables the entire thing, so it's nice that Kia have carried on implementing that as well. So what I'll do is I'll show you around the cabin then. So this is the only bit that I don't really like, is this kind of chunky design on the dash here. Now this is not really present in most of their other cars. It looks slightly different, so it's a little bit of a strange one, but I think it's okay. I just think it would be nice if they broke up the materials a little bit, especially as this is the GT Line S with like the contrasting panels. So you can see we've got some contrast materials in this one. We've also got the sunroof, which definitely adds a lot of light to the cabin, and there is an electric shade that covers this as well. But in general the material quality is good. Even this floating center panel here isn't too wobbly. It's quite nice and solid, and of course it gives you a massive cavernous storage tray down there, which is nice, and it's got rubberized mat in it. And then down here we have USB-C and 180 watt power delivery 12 volt socket as well, so lots of options for that connectivity. And then just here, which is pretty cool, we've got a little load bearing clip, so you can put that down and you can hang, like, I don't know, a little handbag or a shopping bag or something off it. It only takes up to 3 kilos by the looks of it, but yeah, still a nice handy little touch just to have in the front of the cabin, especially as there is a massive gap there, so you could quite easily hang something off of it. And the overall ergonomics are good, I will say. So you get the nice Kia steering wheel. Now the good thing about these new ones, not only do they look good, but they've also got the integration of some nice physical controls. So on the left hand side you've got your information button, so this changes what is on this screen, and there's not much customization to do here. It just kind of goes through your basic ADAS stuff, your trip information and so on, but it gets the job done. You'll be very familiar with this layout if you've ever driven a Kia before. The main thing to bear in mind is it shows your level of regen braking on the bottom right there, which is controlled by the paddles. So you can change that on the fly. You can go all the way down to level 3 and then iPedal mode. iPedal mode is your one pedal drive, and it will come to a complete stop, which I absolutely love. And I love that you can control that on the fly. You can free it up by pressing the -1 up here, and this one will then basically make it so that it will roll and not have as much resistance and regen, so it feels more like a normal car. So you can customize it to your choosing, nice and easy. And also on this side as well, of course, you can control the screen here, but you've also got this button here, which is your one-touch driving assist feature. So this one, if you're on the motorway, for example, you can just press this once and it will automatically steer and keep you in lane. It's one of my favorite features on all the Kia Hyundai cars. It's exceptional. It's much better than anything else on the market, in my opinion, and it means you can control the pedals yourself if you don't want to activate full smart cruise. It's literally one touch on and off, and it just works flawlessly. And then on this side, we've got a shortcut button, which you can control, put something to your choosing, and then the volume switch, which you can use to mute your speed limit warning, and then drive mode select down the bottom. So you can press and hold that one, and you can change between the different drive modes, and that will change this display here. So you can see we've gone into like my drive, we've got a snow mode, eco, and normal, and sport. And the sport mode will also adjust the bolsters on the seats as well. It kind of electrically pulls them in to hug you a little bit tighter if you're doing that sort of driving. And of course, being a modern Kia, everything is really well damped. You can see here I've got on this one the indicator blind spot cameras. So this is exclusive to the GT Line S model, so when you indicate, you get those blind spot cameras. Super useful. I would say it's one of the things that I really do like about these cars on the higher end. And overall, the cabin material quality, like I say, good, and it's very well insulated in here. We've also got some physical climate controls, which is always super welcome, and a volume dial and on-off switch. So the temp dial is literally just like a toggle switch. It's not particularly wonderful or clicky, but it gets the job done. And as you can see, we've got a permanent screen here for climate, which is blocked by the steering wheel, but it's no big deal. It gets the job done, and you only need to look at it very infrequently, and it's nice that you don't have to dig into a menu to do that. So for example, for this infotainment, if I have the Apple CarPlay up, there's no need for me to come out of Apple CarPlay to look at the climate controls, because they are just there. And in terms of these displays, they are very glossy, but the actual contrast and color and the way they work is really good. As you can see, this one isn't angled towards me, which is a bit of a shame, but it's a bit of a nitpick, and it works really well. Obviously, I'm using Apple CarPlay in this instance, but if I were to go to the home screen, these are capacitive touch buttons. You've got all your usual bits and bobs. They've just started adding apps like you get in like a Tesla or something like that. There's also your relax mode with your recline, and there's also like a mode where you can turn off the rear speakers if your kids are asleep in the back, that kind of thing. So that's pretty cool. Got another shortcut button on here. The only thing I don't like about this setup is the fact that these are touch controls. So sometimes when I'm driving along, I'm trying to touch something on the screen, I accidentally lean my palm on one of these and the screen starts moving around to something completely different, which is slightly annoying. But yeah, you do get a reasonable amount of customization in here. You can go in and do your you can do active sound design, so you can add some extra sound for the cabin if you want to. All your ADAS features are on here, so you can go in, you can customize things. It's a nice, easy, simple layout. It's quite convenient to use, I would say. And then you've got full climate controls on here if you want them, but I would say it's fine just to stick to that other screen. So quite a simple system to use, really responsive, really fast, and you'll be very familiar with it if you've used any Kia products in kind of the last, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years or so. It's just a nice modern version of that. I do, however, quite like this vent design, works quite nicely. And then down here, we've got a reasonably sized glove box. You can see pulls out just there, and then loads of space down there. We've got the cup holders, which are kind of the gimmicky ones, which do work quite well, quite fun. You press this button and you see it springs out, and it's even got a proper gripper in there, which is really good. And then on here, you've got a fingerprint sensor in this model, and your auto hold parking camera. So if I press that, we've actually got your 360 cam on this one. So I can go into this mode here, and you can see I've got the top down cam, which is really useful. And then this one, I can move around, so you can see the nice sea view that I've got out of my window just here. You've got an NFC wireless charger for your phone down here, which is always good. And then in here, a little cubby. Nothing too excessive though. You would expect maybe a little bit more space in the center, but I don't mind it. I quite like the design, and it's a nice place to rest my arm. Visibility in general is quite good. As you can see, I can see the corners of the car. The side is pretty good as well, the side mirrors. And then out the back, there is a bit of a blind spot, but there is a tiny window where the C-pillar is. So that's not too bad. And also, of course, you've got the cameras as well to help you out. So it's all right. So overall, ergonomics, I would say, say pretty good. Material quality is very good, and I also like that these wheels have the capacitive sensor in, so it doesn't constantly bong at you to hold the wheel, because it can feel you're still touching it, which is really nice. Everything's kind of where you would expect it to be, and it's a nice blend of modern tech and physical controls, which Kia have been absolutely nailing recently. And I love the materials. I think they will age fairly well, and lots of useful little touches in here. So stepping into the back of the EV5, and this is where it comes into its own in comparison to some of the rivals and the smaller EV3 and EV4. You've got these same materials on the door, which is nice. No privacy shade though, which is interesting. And then on the bottom here, you've got space for a small bottle in there. But look at this lovely flat load floor. Obviously, being a complete EV platform shared with some of the other Kia products, it's really nice and spacious back here. And yeah, lots of space for your legs. And this has some recline on the seats as well, which I'll demonstrate in just a moment, and some little storage areas in the back of the seats there. And also you get USB-C charging in the side of the seats, which is great because it means your cables don't dangle down by your feet. And your climate in the rear here as well. On this model, you also have heated rear seats. Something that I do like as well, down here you've got this pull-out area, which at the moment has a like a little rubberized mat area, so you can put like a phone in there or whatever, but you can slide that back and reveals a big storage area, which I assume is probably going to be used by the kiddies for a bin, isn't it? But it's really useful. It feels high quality, and it really does just stash away, which is why you don't get as much space in that top storage area. So I think it's worth the sacrifice, to be honest, because this is a really useful little space, especially if you just want to stash some bits away. It is only a 60-40 split, so not quite as practical as a Renault Scenic from that regard, but it does have the recline features. You've also got the Isofix that are just squished between the seats kind. Now, the downside of this, I suppose, is you're probably going to damage this leather over time, but it does mean there's no covers to lose. And in the center, you do get a full pull-down armrest and pass-through ski hatch, and there's some cup holders there. There's no grippers in there, unfortunately, but the actual armrest is pretty plush and wide, so if you're just two passengers back here, that will be a pretty good place to be. The seat belts are also on runners, so you don't get any snagging when you're moving the seats around, which is a really nice touch. But of course, because they recline, it's going to be a little bit difficult to put them back with one hand. So then, stepping into the back of the EV5, and I have absolute mountains and mountains of room in here. Now, this one here is set up in my driving position at 6 foot, and if I shuffle over, you'll see that I have plenty of legroom back here, absolutely loads. And what's more, there is actually full recline back here as well, so I've got a little lever down by my side and I can get it right back to this recline position, or I can pull it forward and get more of an upright as well, which means that you can put the seats down from back here. But I've got a really upright position now. This passenger still has plenty of room. I've got tons and tons of legroom. I can stretch right out. Thigh support is good. I've got tons of headroom even in this model with the sunroof, so actually it's really, really good, and I've got no complaints at all. Long-term comfort back here would be great. The only concern I would have is the width of the car. If you're going to have 3 adult passengers back here, someone in this middle might be a little bit cramped width-wise. You do, however, have that completely flat floor, so if I was to sit in the middle, it's not too bad, and the seat is actually comfortable as well for this middle. And even me, again, 6 foot, I've still got room to sit here, so at a push it could be done, but I wouldn't recommend it for 3 adults for a really long journey. But 2 is going to be absolutely limousine-like, and you're going to be more than happy. And like I say, this upright position feels really good on my back, but then that's a really deep recline, so I can get super comfortable. If I cross my legs, yeah, I could probably fall asleep like this, to be honest. It's really, really good. And then there's your rear cargo area, which is absolutely cavernous, as you might expect. There's a hidden button under here. When you press that, we've got the electrically operating tailgate, and it reveals a really, really large square area. I've left a few of my bits in here just to demonstrate how large the area is, and you get a completely flat load lip, which is really nice. So let me move these bits out of the way and I'll show you how it operates. So with my bits and bobs out of the way, you can see just how useful this space is back here. You've got these little hooks which can actually be taken out and moved to all these different locations along the sides and along the bottom. Really, really versatile and handy. There's also a tie hook there. There's also the load cover, which is really straightforward to use, and you can just slot it in like that, or you can completely remove it, and there is also a space to stow it below here. You just slot it into these little grooves here, so you can completely tuck it out of the way. And there's also space down here for your charging cables, so you can stash it under the floor. And if you want to, this floor is adjustable, so if you have slightly taller items, you can lower this by 1, but this makes it nice and easy to load. As you can see, almost no load lip at all. And you've also got over here a full plug socket, so you've got that vehicle to load option, so you can see there you can actually plug stuff in if you want to, which is really good. ski hatch, again, you don't get that 40-20-40 split, but 60-40 is enough for most people. And the only downside is with this boot is that you don't have the option of electrically folding those rear seats. You do have to manually do that. And as I mentioned before, that has to be done from the side. So you have to come around to the side of the car, open it up, and then if you press this lever upwards, then the whole seat will come forward. So it is still easy to do as a one-handed operation, and you can also tuck these seat belts out of the way in these little holes if you want to make an easier load area. And then these flaps come down to make a nice kind of load area there. It's not quite as seamless as in some other cars, but it gets the job done. So if I do the same on this side, again, just pop that up, the whole thing will come forward and create this flap. Once you velcro this down, which you have to do manually, so with your load cover removed and stowed away underneath the floor, as you can see, nice and easy, you now have a really large flat area around the same sort of space as you would find in a Sportage, and this is going to be a super practical space. You could even get probably a small mattress in here if you wanted to camp out in this thing. I could quite comfortably sleep back there if I wanted to. But yeah, for larger furniture items, big TVs and stuff like that, this is going to be super ideal. Just look how flat that load area is. So lots and lots of versatility and practicality back here, a lot more than a lot of key rivals as well. And you've even got these little storage pockets up here. They've just thought of absolutely everything, haven't they? And of course, having an electric tailgate as well makes it super easy to just open things up and get going. And talking to get going, I think it's about time I stop waffling about this car and actually get it out for a test drive and take it round some of the roads and see exactly what it's like to drive. So then, cruising along in the EV5, one thing I will say is it's an absolutely ideal driving position. I've got a fantastic commanding view out of the road, places for my elbows, I can sit right back, this seat is super adjustable, and it's just a really nice place to spend some time. The material quality is really good, and like I say, this laminated glass makes such a difference to interior refinement. It's almost silent in here most of the time. Now I've nice and easily muted the speed limit warning, that makes things nice and easy as well. Just a really nice experience. The turning circle around town, really good. The way it pulls away in traffic, super smooth. And in this iPedal mode, I've got it right the way up, the regen is kicking in when I need it to, and I'm basically just driving it like I would any other one pedal car, like a Tesla for example. It works really, really well. Even on these larger alloys, there's not too much crashing around. The suspension does a nice job of ironing out bumps. I wouldn't say it's the most dynamic car in the world though. You might be a little bit disappointed if you want lots of agility. You might want to look elsewhere for that. I think even something like a Skoda Enyaq will kind of outperform this in that category, but in general this is really, really pleasant, and you're not going to really notice that day to day, are you? You're going to notice the comfort and refinement of that. There is loads. But don't get me wrong, just because it's 2 tons and just because it's quite soft doesn't mean it flops around like a wet sock. It's still got that little bit of feel to the steering. You can kind of see where the car is on the road, and you can feel a little bit of texture through the wheel, and although it's a little bit numb, it's still enough for you to feel that level of engagement. You know what's going on, and the only time you'll really notice that it plays up a little bit is when you floor it out of a junction in some kind of wet conditions. Because it's front wheel drive, it does kind of scatter around a little bit and you feel a little bit of torque steer going on, but the computers do a decent job of ironing that out as well. And I like the fact that at the moment there is only one drivetrain to choose from, and I'm sure that will change in the future, maybe by the time you're watching this video, but in general I think that makes it nice and easy. And the amount of power on tap here, even uphill there, that was really super straightforward. And when I change the drive mode into the sport mode, the throttle response instantly gets a little bit more aggressive, and the seat's now hugging me in a little bit in this GT Line S model as well. I've got that kind of extra bolstering, and it really puts me in place, and I could now feel much more comfortable throwing it into a little bend. What I do quite like about there being a little bit of extra body roll is that it doesn't have that same kind of low down firmness that some EVs do. There's a lot of EVs that the center of gravity feels so low that it just crashes around over bumps and feels as though you can't really maneuver the car properly because it's on rails. But this is a nice level of comfort that you don't really notice that much. Of course you feel the weight, but it does kind of feel like just a little bit of a bloated Sportage, and I don't really say that as an insult. Sitting in traffic is a joy in this thing as well. You used to get on a lot of Kia models this kind of really weird like brake squeal and stuff when you're trying to creep along, and in this they seem to have eradicated it quite well, to be honest. It doesn't really have that same effect, and it makes a nice difference because it feels super smooth. Like if you're used to driving something like a Tesla, this isn't that far off that when you're sitting in traffic. It's just a lovely experience, and like I said, round town maneuverability is actually really good for for a vehicle of this size as well. Over a super long journey, you're going to be very happy because that one-touch driver and assist feature makes journeys on the motorway and on A roads super easy, because you have to put a lot less concentration into the kind of micro adjustments of the steering wheel. And the fact that there's a capacitive sensor in here means it won't be constantly bonging at you either to keep hold of the wheel and make those little adjustments. Combine that with a decent sound system, some nice ambient lighting in the higher end models, and these gloriously comfortable relaxation seats, and you're going to be in for a really good time. And your rear passengers will be happy too, because they'll probably be reclined a little bit with loads of legroom. I do like all of the Kia EV range, and I think the difficulty is going to be choosing between this and an EV3, because unless you really need the extra space in the back, the EV3 is going to be better on range, cheaper to buy, and also a little bit more manoeuvrable because it's smaller. The EV3, I would say, is kind of 80% of the car for 20% less money, so it does kind of make sense to have it in the range, but it's just whether it's worth going for this for you. But get it out on the twisty stuff, and there's still enough power to enjoy it. I do like the fact that there's a little bit of torque steer when you're really messing around as well on these country roads. It does make it feel quite playful, although obviously it's not going to be ideal in all weather conditions. But it does have enough shove when you floor it out of a corner. It's not going to absolutely set your hair on fire, but it's more than enough power for day-to-day use. I think it's an adequate amount, and it still feels pretty rapid. Makes quite a nice little whine under acceleration, gives you a nice shove of torque off the line, and the power is available when you need it, but it's not excessive. And putting it in eco mode really tames everything. I love the way the power is delivered as you floor it out of a corner. The nose rises a little bit and you feel the weight shift, and it feels like a big comfy car. It's got that kind of Range Rover quality to it, you know. And braking, let's do a little emergency stop here. Yeah, I mean, it does go a little bit crunchy in those low down conditions, like right at the end of the pedal, but pedal feel is okay, and it's not as spongy as you might think for regen braking. And in general, if you're using like the higher regen modes, like the iPedal mode, you're not really going to be using the brakes that much anyway day to day, so it's not really something I would worry about, especially as you're probably not going to be buying this car for its dynamics. Do you know what, the ADAS systems aren't that intrusive either. Kia have really honed that over the last few years to make sure they're not constantly tugging you out of lane and stuff like that. They just seem to be a lot less intrusive and only really work when you want them to work. It is a proper jack of all trades, this, and even though this one I've got here is kind of in the upper 40,000s mark, you'd be more than happy with a mid-range car, and even the entry level is generously spec'd. And plus, once you add dealer contributions and finance deals and all that kind of thing, actually I think this is going to be a really compelling proposition. So like I said at the start, I've been looking forward to this review all year because I do really think that this is going to be one of the cars to beat in the EV market, especially at that price. I think the fact that it's kind of competitive with a Sportage actually makes it really good for those looking to make the jump to EV. And 320 odd miles or whatever it is, that's pretty good, isn't it, for most people? Like if you're charging at home and you're not doing loads of long distance, then that's going to be absolutely fine. And of course, for those journeys where you do more than that, you're going to have fast charging available to you. So if you stop and have a coffee, it's not the end of the world. And yes, it's not quite the same as the Tesla supercharger network, but if you're not doing those journeys that often, it probably won't matter to you, will it? I honestly don't really have much bad to say about it. I just think it's not going to be the most dynamic driving experience for you. But I didn't expect that coming into it. And I think if you're expecting a bigger EV3 and a smaller EV9, that's exactly what you're getting, and that's not a bad thing at all. I don't think the lineup is saturated, and I like the way that Kia structure their naming scheme. The fact that the bigger the number, the more expensive the car, and the larger the car. Simple as that, really. And the fact that you get everything included on the trim levels and there's not really any options just makes it super easy as a buying experience. So there we go, guys, the new EV5, I think going to be a super popular car going into 2026, and it's the last car I'm going to review this year. So thank you so much to Kia for inviting me out to the launch of this car, and I appreciate all of the comments, likes, subscriptions. It all goes such a long way, so I appreciate everything that you guys do. If you want to check out more Kia reviews, check out the channel, and if you're looking for a new car or to sell your car, check out the links in the description below. But for me, for now, that's all. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.